To SBY Academy's platform. It's an absolute honor for me to host you. My name is Yukti Kapoor Mendirata, and I'm honored to have friends like you all who were literally a call away to accept my invitation to be a part of this discussion. Thank you so much for that. I am really humbled.
Thank you, Yukti, for hosting this. Everyone talks about triumphs. You are speaking about challenges today, and more power to you. And it's a delight to be with all of you, to meet you, and to be with Dolly Thakur, who's been a beacon in our city and a very dear friend for many, many years.
Yes,
and each one to hear that.
No, absolutely. I think when I was really thinking about putting a panel together, I wanted to pick people who have done some meaningful work and not a tick in the box and not there to grab the spotlight, but really passionately dedicated towards the good of the community. And it's interesting how so many of you here are social entrepreneurs, and if I may say, serial social entrepreneurs, because it just doesn't stop with one thing when it comes to people like you all. So it will be very difficult for me to briefly introduce you all, but I will try and keep it as brief as possible, because as much as I know you personally, each one of you, when I went on Google to see if there is something more I can pick, I had like more than 5 pages to go through. So at one point, I just put my pen down and I said, it's all right. Let us just see if I can scratch the surface when it comes to your body of work. Let me bring in Dolly ji. Who doesn't know, she's actually very popular and known for being a path breaker. She's a veteran Indian theater actress and a casting director of a lot of Academy winning movies such as Gandhi, a broadcaster, newsreader, masters of ceremony. What is it that she hasn't done in her life? She's done multiple hats. And I think what impresses me the most, beyond a long list of accolades, is the fact that she dares to live her life on her own terms. Choosing to be a single parent and living that life with pride in our society is not easy to do, not even now. And we're talking about decades back when she took that call.
So can I stop you there for a moment?
Yes,
and
yes,
say
Johnny.
that life hasn't been difficult.
Wonderful.
It's not difficult. You have to believe in yourself, and certainly the people around you then give you the courage and the support. And it hasn't been tough at all. Agreed that there are ups and downs in every relationship, every step that you take, but that does not mean that you give up and sit and cry or weep about it. And that is how I have managed to survive. And I have lived life on my terms. And that is the advice that I would give every girl. And today, the young women are doing amazing things. You talked about the talent. Whatever they pick up, there is talent, whether it's floral arrangement or interior decoration. Now they've got big names and professional names like that. But it has all started from nothing. And look where the woman has reached. There's not an area that she hasn't excelled in. When I started, I didn't excel in speaking or acting or presentation, but one worked hard at it. And so persevere, and perseverance is what helps. So ladies, my advice to all those that are listening, just persevere in what you're doing and you will be successful.
So inspiring. This session has begun already and I have barely introduced my panelists. That is the power of this group. So thank you so much for that high point right at the beginning, Dolly ji. I'll quickly move to Nisha. And Nisha, I mean, of course, another very famous personality. Who doesn't know her, whether it is in the space of celebrities or common people trying to grapple through life. And then comes Nisha, who can be just as glamorous as she can be, simple in her approach and appearance when she's connecting with people. And that is what helped her to grab CSR awards as well. She, for me, is the multitasker. I call her the multitasker, a blogger, a social worker, a luxury brand consultant, columnist, influencer, craft crusader, and the list goes on. I was in fact watching this documentary about the 3 scam stroke millionaires, Vijay Mallya, and the story, the documentary on Netflix about Subrata Roy.
It wasn't difficult to know any of those people, let me tell you.
So I kind of, of course, saw Nisha's bite as well for 2 of those 3 millionaires, and that's the proximity she shares with the who's who of the country. But what really, catches my attention and really warms my heart is to see how, she holds herself grounded. And there is so much humility and humbleness, that makes her approachable. So it's not as if you've taken off because you know a few people who could have choppers of their own. It's also about knowing that you've got to stay connected to Mother Earth. And to me, she's a very deeply grounded and rooted woman. And that's what makes her so special. Thank you, Nisha, for joining
Thank you,
us.
Yukti. Thank you. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be among such august women. And thank you for celebrating other women. Because I think the great message of a day like this is women for women. Not pulling each other down, but giving that buoyancy to each other. And kudos to you, Yukti, for bringing such celebrated and beautiful women, each a beacon in their own fields, together to chat and share stories. Thank you, Yukti.
Thank you so much, Nisha. Thank you for that acknowledgement. And I think I'm feeling so good about the fact that this is not just one of those Women's Day when we send out a nice creative to each other and that's where it ends. It doesn't really get into conversations that matter, and that's exactly what we're doing here today. So thank you for your presence in making this happen. Revati, welcome to the discussion. Revati for me is not just a serial social entrepreneur, but also the unshakable. The kind of work that she's done and the space that she chose to be in is not something that's at the top of mind or an easy pick, to say the least. So she is the co-founder of Hey Didi, India's first all-women last mile delivery service, and has also run, I think, a cab service, all women again, and giving, the empowerment to women much needed so that they can be financially independent and, run their life on their own terms. So she's kind of led them like from pillar to post and made sure that it's not just her life, but many other lives that she's touched that flourish in this lifetime. She's also been awarded as the most popular woman in 2019 by Fortune India. And like any of you here in the room, she has a long, long list of accolades that I could probably guide you to go through by just clicking her name and putting it there on Google. So thank you, Revati, for the beautiful work that you've done thus far.
I'd like to say something about Revati. I'm in awe of Revati because she has taken on a field which is totally new, unused, raw.
Yes.
Beautifying people, wearing nice clothes, designing things, etc. is everybody. Revati went into an area which was totally unexplored by women. And hats off to Revati. That's the kind of woman we need.
Thank you so much. I just want to say one thing that I always get introduced as a social entrepreneur. And yes, I am a social entrepreneur, but I also must add here, I am not an NGO. I'm a completely for-profit organization. But we do good work can also be done while you make money and sustain yourself. I think that's very critical to know that you should make money. You should stand on your own feet. That's what sustainability is all about.
Absolutely, Revati, and that just kind of added another brownie point there in my heart for you, because I really want us as women to come to terms with the fact that money is not such a taboo thing to talk about, and it doesn't challenge your womanhood and doesn't make you any less charming.
I want to see 8 figures all the time.
Yes, so I think it's high time that women get comfortable talking about money, because it is an important resource, and ultimately that's what helps us to drive all our ambitions, right? So thank you for adding that. We're all here for profit. Let's create profit for not just ourselves, but for the entire world around us. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Revati. I'll bring in Sukirti. Sukirti, thank you so much. Sipping Thoughts is a very, very interesting and passionate platform that she's put together. For me, Sukirti is the unconventional. Nobody can miss this one fact about her, and she takes pride in sharing, which she must, that she finally decided to say yes to this lucky man at the age of 45 and was blessed with twins at the age of 47. So I got my twins when I was, I think, about 30. And I remember what an ordeal it was to kind of have both, like right next to each other and dealing with them at that age with that energy. Of course, slowly it gets a little more difficult. But you've got around doing everything that you wanted to do when you wanted to do it. and went beyond the conventional, this is the right time and this is the right place. You created that right place and time for yourself, and I think that's what makes you absolutely unconventional. So thank you, Sukirti, for just being yourself. And it's also very, sexy, if I may say, when you have women engineers. And to top it, she was the Woman Engineer of the Year when she was studying engineering. And so that's like leading with brains all on, and that's just so sexy.
The only thing I'd like to say is there's going to be a lot of voices, but only listen to your own voice that comes from your heart.
Right. So well said. Follow your heart and the rest will follow. That's been the mantra of my life as well, Sukirti. So thank you for resonating with that. Dr. Chandra, what do I say? When someone becomes a doctor, you just don't call out their first name. That's a crime because it takes a lot of good work to earn that title for yourself, and she's earned it to the T. For me, Chandra is the change maker. I met her personally years back, and with just that one conversation, we clicked, and it was almost like house on fire. And since then, I was waiting to kind of connect. Before I could, she did. I have been honored to be on her platform, Prayana, and been invited as a speaker, and thankfully got the opportunity today to invite her on my platform and gain from her wisdom. So Dr. Chandra is the founder and director of Prayana Labs. She's a master trainer, voice artist, and first Indian woman to win a special recognition at the prestigious Imperatic Woman in Business Awards, also awarded at UN General Assembly Hall in 2018. So Chandra works very passionately towards uplifting and supporting women. And she has been able to touch many lives. And Prayana is a very dedicated platform that is focused and driven towards touching 100,000? Is that the mission that's driving you?
Yeah, we are working towards empowering 1 million women by 2030.
By 20?
30.
By 2030,
Yeah.
1 million women. And when she says empowering, trust me, it's real empowerment, because I have been in close proximity to see what they do together as a team. So kudos to you, Dr. Chandra. Great work happening there.
Thank you so much.
So welcome to all the participants once again present here in the room. I will just bring in Swapnil. I'm so glad he could finally make it. Swapnil, you will be here in the room, yes, with us. Swapnil is the president of CFBP, Council for Fair Business Practices. And it's an honor for us, SBY Academy, to partner with the CFBP to present this event to you all. So I would like to request Swapnil to quickly introduce CFBP to us and tell us about all the great work that the council does.
Thank you, Yukti. It was, my mistake. Maybe the Zoom was not there on the system. One of my iPads has it. So then finally I realized that it's the Zoom has to be there. Then I could easily get it. Now that was my mistake. Anyway, it's a pleasure to be joining with you guys out here. And International Women's Day is something which we all want to celebrate, and more so as men, so as to be empowering women as much as we can from our side, and try to balance the scales which have hitherto been very, very tilted in our favor, and very much wrongly at that. Now, I welcome all the panelists. If I, sort of forget the names, please correct me. I think there's Dolly, whom I remember, obviously, because she's on our advisory board. Then there's Nisha. There's DJ as well, I guess, and Revti and Dr. Chandra, and anybody else. Yukti, if I've mistaken.
Yes, we have Sukirti and Revti Roy.
And so, yeah, okay, Sukirti as well. I welcome all of you, and let me tell you a bit about CFBP. CFBP stands for Council for Fair Business Practices. It was started in 1966 by very, very prominent industrialists and professionals, Tatas, Bajaj, and Godrej. And then Jimmy Gazdar and Khurakiwala and Vishnu Hari Bhakti and all of them. And it would be surprising to all of you that there are 2 or 3 who are still alive. That is Vishnu Hari Bhakti is possibly post 90 years of age, and Swaran Kohli, who's also around close to that age. So they're still active, and they still do participate to whatever extent that they can. And what was this council for? I mean, what was it established for? It was established to promote consumer movement. Look at the vision of these founders that were there at that time. They thought that 40, 50 years down the road, there would be competition, and most of the manufacturers would tend to stray the line in trying to maximize profits. And that is where a council would be required to pull them up and tell them that please follow the line, and at the same time make the consumers aware. Today, we are consumers of everything. When we buy medicine, when we watch a show, when we watch a film, when we buy a product. So when we go to school or when we send our children to school, we are consumers of every single thing. And that is the reason why we need to be aware of our rights. And at the same time, we need to ensure that the manufacturers are also aware that we are aware of our rights. And that is where the CFVP comes in. What we do, we have a bi-monthly newsletter where we invite articles from people who believe in the consumer movement. And we hold seminars. We partner with, say, for example, today we've partnered with SBY Academy. Yukti is a part of our team. She is already an invitee member, and from 1st of April, she'll be an executive committee member. And she's done a wonderful job for us, I must say, because she's, tied in some of her activities or some of her topics along with those of CFVP. And that is where, we are very happy to do so, because we are always looking for opportunities to tie up with different, with a different genre. I mean, she's a motivational coach. And at the same time, aren't we consumers of that motivational coach as well? I mean, don't we need that motivation all of us in our lives? So that is something which we are looking at. Apart from these seminars, we also have a Jamnalal Bajaj Awards, which will be in its 33rd chapter on May 2021, where we honor industrialists, professionals, associations for following fair business practices. Our chief guests earlier have been the former Prime Minister, former President, top bankers, then top politicians, then top professionals. So it's one of those flagship programs. The other one is an online internet painting competition, which we have once a year. The other one is a Kavi Sammelan, where we try to reach out our Hindi belt. The fourth one is, of course, one of the key ones, which is shortly coming up, is the film festival. Well, the film festival is not about films. It's about short films, tagline, and painting, where we invite competition from across the country. There is a proper jury which then decides, and then we honor all of them at a very, very prominent hotel. The budget of which is around 40 to 50 lakhs. So this is a very, very key program that we have. Now, having said that, I'll not take much of your time. It'll just take 2 minutes. I want to speak a little bit about women empowerment. This is one of the topics which CFVP is very passionate about. And today, with Women's Day, we thought that it's best that we do something in that direction. One of the biggest things that we have in women empowerment is we are trying to curate a seminar with one of the top film actresses who surely represents and embodies women empowerment, and one of the other leading women industrialists. So that is something which we are trying to curate, and shortly we'll come out with that. But wish you all the best, and my good luck and more part to it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Yukti. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Swapnil. I know when you're passionate about something, it's just tough to stop. And I feel that every time I talk about what we do here, and I'm sure I speak for every entrepreneur, and it's not even your own platform, but the way you're dedicated towards making this a meaningful platform. I think kudos to you, Swapnil. You're leading us very well as a president, and I think people like Dolly G and I are just following suit. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so let's straight dive into some of the important things that we want to discuss today, and I need your views on that. You know, life is a roller coaster, not because we are a woman, but because we're a human. And what adds a little spice to that roller coaster is being a woman, especially in a society such as ours in India. As much as a few things have changed and changed for good, there has been a shade and flavor of highs and lows that probably didn't call for as a human life as much as a life of a woman. So I want to invite you at this point and just kind of take a sneak peek into your personal space and understand from you, what are some of the challenges that have been life-changing for you, that turning point, which tells you a little more about yourself. And sometimes we learn best about who we are when we fall. And we know that we have the ability to dust off and just keep walking. What is that one moment for you? We start with you, Dr. Chandra.
Okay. I was just thinking, which one should I start with?
Yeah, let's cover only one, because I know that could be a long list and I have a few more questions to bounce off.
Yeah, I know. So, to answer it simply, I would say there are many incidences and for each instance, I think there is a meaning attached to it. Every time I fall, I try to look at that as an opportunity. The latest one is definitely the COVID, during which, 2020 was an year where, as an organization, we had literally planned a lot of things, but entirely we actually, we shut down. I actually closed my physical office. There were a lot of financial crunches, a lot of things, but um, over the period of time, I would say we evolved strategies to overcome and convert those challenges into opportunities. So that is how I would say Prayana became a pan-India organization in last year, in fact, because we could form chapters across India. Earlier we were doing most of the things offline, so it became the challenge. Actually, became a blessing, for us. So I think, just like what Dolly ma'am said some time back, we have to look at everything as an opportunity for growth. We have to persevere, and that is the first message, I think, to all the women out there. So for me personally, a lot of challenges were there, but we just go ahead. Chalna hai, chalta hai.
Yes. Just keep going one step at a time. And I think, people who call or can identify an opportunity and call that as an opportunity in disguise are the ones who know what it means to be resilient. When you don't get crushed under the unknown. And this pandemic has been such a test for our resilience, our ability to just keep going, even if that meant changing course, like shutting down and restarting. And so we did that. And in fact, while you did that, you realized how you could expand further and move to pan India instead.
Actually, I think that shutting down helped me to, think out of the box. So far, I was thinking, when you are in an office, you will only think about that office.
Absolutely.
When that shutdown happened, we start thinking across. Now, if you ask me where is my office, I will say I have different offices in different places in India.
And all of that somehow fits into 13 inches of screen. That's the best part of it. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Chandra. I'll move to Revati. Again, I'm sure, Revati, you've kind of really gone beyond the ordinary and the conventional in a lot of ways. What has been the most challenging moment, if I may ask, that was like a life-changing moment for you?
Two things, Yukti, which are kind of correlated. In 2004, my husband slipped into a comatose state. He had a diabetes-induced heart attack and he just went into a coma. I knew nothing. And we, of course, eventually lost him for 2.5 years later. And 2.5 years to be in a comatose state and a family looking after him is disastrous. It can finish you. And that's what it did to me. We went completely bankrupt. I had 3 children to bring up. I didn't know what I was doing. To add it to that, that was not even the lowest point of my life. Losing my husband was not even the lowest point. While he was in a comatose state, I had kind of my bank account was joint. I couldn't get his signature to go and draw the considerable amount of funds which were lying in the bank. I went the next morning after his comatose state to draw money and I couldn't. I started borrowing money from friends and family. I couldn't return that money in 2.5 years because every day was a hope. I used to think he's going to be fine and I'll return it. He'll be okay and I'll return it. And the lowest point actually came when these 5 people filed criminal cases against me and I went behind bars. Wow. For 3 months, I was behind bars. I didn't think I would survive. I didn't think I would do anything. But after coming out from there and after facing immense social ostracism, the validation of the fact that I did say, I'm not going to give up. I came out and I started Asia's first women's taxi service. I drove it myself because I've been a rally driver all my life. And I've done about 85 car rallies. I've won 80 of them. So it was very natural for me to just sit on the wheel and drive people around. So I started a company. Anyway, the rest is history. But the point is, I don't think anybody should ever go through what I have. But well, I did do what I thought was best at that point of time. And I did create history. I'm good. I'm absolutely good. I've not only survived, I have thrived. I'm rocking and never say die. So here I am.
Wow. I mean,
Alarms
I was
to
the
God.
only one experiencing. A lot of us just got goosebumps listening to you, Revti. That was so
Brilliant.
beautiful, beautiful. I think that's the strength of a woman at play.
Yeah,
Like
I think
you,
we don't give up, it's not possible to give up. And I had 3 children looking at me and saying, Mom, you like it is like that. That the children were facing a situation where they had a mother who would not talk and they had a father who could not talk.
hmm,
So they were, the fact that they've turned out to be normal human beings is a miracle. It's a real miracle.
absolutely. And what we're calling as normal in itself is extraordinary
It
because
is.
it
It
is
is.
believed that, in the spiritual space, that suffering is our best teacher. When we,
Vulnerability is your strength.
yes,
You have to create a vulnerability into strength.
yes, yes.
And I am vulnerable. Even now, I'm vulnerable. But that's my strength.
Absolutely. And I think without vulnerability, even trust is not possible. And the fact that we felt so connected with
Yeah.
what you said
Murari?
is your vulnerability at play.
And
Beautiful.
frankly speaking, I couldn't give a damn.
Yeah,
I'm on my
good.
own trip.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, we all are tipsy. We're high on life, all of us.
I'm high on life.
Yes, yes. Cheers to that. Cheers to that. There's another one who joins us in the club, like everybody else in the room, Nisha. Let's bring you in. You've been into very different spaces in life. You've created a name for yourself. You're not a Mrs. This and a Miss That. You are Nisha Jamwal, and people know you for your name and what you stand for. Not even as much as what you do, but just who you are. So, what has been, one that one changing moment that challenge you could overcome and found Nisha there?
Firstly, I want to say great respect and commendation to you, Revti. I'm speechless hearing your story. We all think we've been to hell and back, and then when we hear stories like yours, I feel deep respect for you. And thank you, Yukti, for allowing me to hear such a riveting story. Where I'm concerned, yes, there was a very defining moment. So I've had plenty of moments that have been game changers. But let me say that I was high on life. I was an attractive woman living in Paris, in Los Angeles, working in Ibaraki in Japan, doing fashion in Australia. We live at that young age with a degree of arrogance and, feeling you're on top of the world until life hits you. I was marrying the prince of my dreams. We had eloped and things were absolutely like paradise. And then came the great fall when 3 hours after we got married, we had an accident. And I spent the first year of my marriage in Bombay Hospital on the 11th floor. It was a year of great change, of coming, falling to earth with a thud from a cloud which I'd lived in as an only child who felt the world revolved around me. I differ from Dolly to an extent when I say I found it very difficult. I won't pretend that I was not devastated. I didn't know where I'm going to start. Every day that it became 6 o'clock in the evening, the darkness would fall. I was in a new city. I'd never lived in this city. I didn't know anyone in Bombay. And I would get severe panic attack at 6 o'clock when the Bombay hospital, quietened down and the clouds of the monsoon started coming. And I would begin to feel the world is falling apart. And yet I had to be brave and smile through it all because the doctor said, if you're not that way, you won't be bringing positive energy to the situation and healing will be poor. So I had to pretend to be happy when um, I was just falling apart, literally. And what for me defines my life is building back in a city where I didn't know anybody. And the first few questions I'd be asked by people would be, oh, so who's your father or who's your husband? And I didn't want to say, because while my father's a famous brewer, my husband's a famous prince, I didn't want to piggyback on names. I didn't want to be somebody's wife and somebody's husband. So I just said Nisha, and I was made to wait at meetings. I was treated superciliously. And I promised myself that I'd build back my life and be a person who, when I walked into a forum or when I walked into an airport or when I walked into a restaurant, would make a difference because of me. And building back life and being a multitasker was also not easy. I wanted to do everything. I still had dreams, you see. In a nutshell, I worked things, I worked people, I worked life. I felt the challenges acutely. I didn't have too many people to lean on because I didn't want to be a liability. My own husband was building back his own life. Right. My parents were deeply, bonded to me. So I had to make them feel that, hey, everything's okay. So, quite the contrary, I was looking after them and buffering them. So yes, it was challenging, but I agree with Revati. It's situations like this, and like you said earlier, Yukti, that make us into, like my husband says, you're in the army now. And the reason I keep talking about my husband is because he has been my friend, guide, mentor, and philosopher. And I have to say it's been a big partnership. Whatever I am and whatever I achieve in my life will always be because there was this man who has been the wind beneath my wings. And I have no shame in saying that I absolutely worship the ground he walks on, and I bounce ideas off him. He bounces ideas off me. We are friends first, and then lovers. And well, I mean, life worked, things worked. I changed my focus into doing things which will also make a difference. I feel I've come into this world with a purpose, and that purpose is to make India more sensitive and more accessible, to make India wheelchair friendly, to make stations and public transport. I'm at the moment in court fighting. Actually, I'm not fighting because everyone's in great agreement, including the BMC. They are very cooperative. I really don't know why I'm in court with them. But yes, I took the whole nation to court, and we are changing the world as we speak. We are making India wheelchair friendly. Prime Minister Modi has been very, very supportive. The BMC, Mr. Iqbal, is very supportive. Parveen Pardesi before him is very supportive. And I hope I can make a tiny difference to the education of the girl child by giving them computers. And I feel apart from the work that I do in architecture, in interiors, in luxury, and in as a columnist and a writer and a TV presenter, apart from all that, which is par for course, what is important to me is bringing change. And like you said, being a serial social entrepreneur.
Awesome. Beautiful work there, Nisha. What a story, and what grit and determination to just come back for who you are and not necessarily ride on some very comfortable shoulders that you could easily do. So kudos to you for finding that tough path and then walking it all the way. And I think it is the attitude of gratitude that keeps us going. So acknowledging people who create that support for us is very, very important and goes a long way in making us discover our true strengths. So
absolutely. And like you said, Yukti, challenge and troughs and rapids are what has been an ally in my life. It's what actually has been, the bringing that sense of humility, gratitude, and in a metaphoric sense, bowing your head to the beautiful people around you.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you. We have a beautiful soul who's finally joined us. TJ, are you there? TJ, can you hear us? Well, the fact that she could manage to log in itself is a big deal, because I'm sure she has an infant to take care of, and she was worried that my baby will wake up by the time I get to speak. So I think that's exactly what's happening.
Isn't it two of them? There are twins.
3 now, yeah.
Yes.
Just got blessed. Hi, TJ. Oh, look at that. That is a real face of a woman, right? How beautiful is that? Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for joining in, teacher. You're on mute.
Hi. Okay. Am I there?
Yes.
Yay!
Thank you so much. I mean, again, you're someone who a lot of people are already aware of, but very quickly, I think for me, you are a soul surfer. You're someone who's totally, driven by who you are, and that's what makes me fall in love with you, TJ. I don't know if I've done this love sharing with you before. We've been friends for a very, very long time. But I think what makes me kind of love this woman is the fact that she's so comfortable to be who she is. That be you is what she epitomizes in every area of her life. So I loved some of the comments that she's recently shared after being blessed with her third daughter. And with that lovely picture of the three beautiful girls and TJ and Karanveer, her husband, I think the title read, "We are now a complete family." So she really went back to a few comments from the society saying, "Don't wait for me to have a boy to feel complete. We are complete already." And I think that's beautiful, and that speaks of who you stand for. You are three daughters yourself, and so am I. But let me confess that there have been moments when I kind of saw that little frown on my mother's face, kind of, dealing with so many questions from the society saying a boy is a must. And somewhere she kind of felt that was a little gap that she couldn't cover in her lifetime. And I think it's only over a period of time that she realized that all three of us were more than a handful to deal with. And I've been able to bring in some element of pride in her life. So she's been able to drop that little thought in her mind. But let's accept the fact that the society is still cliche when it comes to that. TJ, would love to hear that from you. We were just talking about challenges of life. I think you're still dealing with one.
I deal with it every day, and people even, especially when you say, oh, three daughters, oh, well, maybe God could have been kinder this time. Vaheguru ko ek changi cheez de denda. It's like, changi cheez? Like, if you have, you have a healthy child, is that not a good thing? And you hear it from relatives. And I would think that I'm in Canada right now, so it's about 6 a.m. over here. And even out here, I thought, you would think that our society would be a little more evolved here, but they're not. Indians are still the same. And everyone thought, oh, I'm sure you must have been trying for a boy. I said, I wasn't trying for anything. I've just been working my whole life, and even just having kids was such a big blessing because we were not trying the first time, we were not trying the second time, and we were not trying for a boy. And everyone thinks that, your family's still not yet complete. I said, what is it that a boy makes it complete? And then you just, I think then people feel kind of empathetic for me that, well, it's the girls that take care of the family, and it's the girls that look after their parents, trying to make it okay for me. I said, I'm okay with it. I'm not upset. And it's tough, because I feel that, the youngest one, this one, I'm sorry, that's why I got late to join. First of all, I couldn't connect, and then she woke up, so I had to feed her. And then, my whole schedule revolves around her. And I feel that she's going to get it. Even when she's older, people are going to say, oh, your mom was probably trying for a boy. And I don't want her to have that, because that's not true. And it's sad that I still have to keep defending it. People say, oh, you don't have to defend it, especially when you're on social media. And I don't like the term influencer, but when you kind of are, and people comment and say things, you feel like you have to react and you have to explain. But it's not changing. It's not changing still. You think that, look at, we're 2021 we're living in, but we're still,
it is so unfortunate, TJ. I know for a fact that as much as I've denied this in most of my life, when I was born as the first child, there was a huge function, right? A lot of people were invited. And then the second child was born, again a daughter, and they kind of brought the budgets down a little bit, but there was still a function. And then when the third one was born, again a daughter, no one was invited, no one celebrated. And for years, my mother had to get over the depression of bringing a third girl child to the house as if she was solely responsible for doing something so wrong. And it's just so heartbreaking for me to share that there were times when she thought of, killing herself and just cutting that life short, because she just couldn't deal with the pressure and the depression. And, and this is when she was nursing. So my youngest sibling had to go through a lot of issues, health issues, because of this, whatever my mother was going through physically. And I just take so much pride in the fact that she's a scientist today. She's in the US and she works with FDA. She's a PhD, and she's Dr. Mamta. And it's not just our family, but all those people who kept hovering around my mother, making her feel terrible about it, are the ones who go around with their chest expanded to say that we know Mamta and we know what she's done and we're so proud of her. But it takes all of that for us to get to a point where we don't have to hear things we don't deserve to.
And it's really sad that you have to keep defending your child in today's world. And I'm pretty resilient. You know me, I don't even care. Like, people say stuff, I say, okay, well, your small thinking is your problem. But I feel that, what about other people who are actually very sensitive and who really feel that, okay, I've let my family down. Like, I don't live in a joint family. We live on our own. We do our own thing. Life is an adventure. Take it as it comes. But people who suppose I was somebody who lived in a joint family, who wanted a boy, who delivered 3 girls, what must they go through? And they probably still face it today. And we're living in cities. What about smaller places? It's really made me look at motherhood a completely different way, and what women have to, I wouldn't say suffer, but what they go through, what they have to endure, because they were not able to produce a son.
Yeah.
And it was, it's really tough for them, I feel.
Absolutely. And that isn't the only cliche we deal with. The other cliche is to define what is the right age to marry, what is the right age to be a mother, how you are not taking the responsibility of being a woman. I want to bring in Sukirti here.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is definitely, I also grew up in the US. I've been in the US since I was 10 years old. And before that, I was in Africa. So it wasn't like I was raised in India, but I would totally agree with TJ that the conservativeness of the society does not change. So I think ever since I graduated from business school at 24, the search for a guy for me was on. And that search was not just family, friends, everybody. It was like that if you are not married, it does not matter what your accomplishments are. I was, like you said, Woman Engineer of the Year. I was the youngest person who did MBA at University of Chicago. There were just 2 or 3 of us that actually entered with less than 1 year of experience. None of that mattered. None of it mattered that how good you were doing at your career. It was like, okay, the big question was always, when are you going to get married? And when I moved to India, and of course I moved to India when I was 38, 39. So people were like, okay, now this girl has actually given up hope. She is not ever going to get married. And hence she is running around the world to escape this. So they could never feel that I actually was happy. And it was not that I was anytime saying that, listen, I need a partner. I was living my life. I was having a very good life. But this societal pressure continuously. And of course, in India, it got even more severe. But definitely, I mean, I think women face this all the time from a very, very young age. That, listen, and it's not about finding the right person, because it's always like, तुम बहुत पिकी हो, तुम्हें तो मतलब इतने लड़कों से मिले हो, कोई तुम्हें क्यों नहीं पसंद आता, तुम कौन सा ताज पहने हुए हो, तुम कौन सी वो हो, so the negativeness always comes around that there is something wrong with you, that you're not able to pick a partner. They're not looking at compatibility. They're just looking at the fact that, hey, listen, you need to get married. And for that, I would say that it doesn't really matter. When finally I did find somebody, people were shocked because I found him in India. And it just happened. It wasn't like, okay, my goodness, this was this big orchestrated system. But he is probably more similar to me than I could have probably found when I was even 24. So I think you have to take your own journey. You have to take your own path and what is meant for you. But more important than that is enjoy every part of your journey. Don't get stuck in this thing that, listen, I'm not married. So that is the only thing that's kind of like, directing you. You've got to, because that time once gone is gone. You need to enjoy every phase of your life. And you got to deal with sometimes, things might not be as others expect them to be, but as long as you're okay with it.
Absolutely. So well said, Sukirti. And then we have people like, Dolly G, who just said, okay, I am absolutely clear about the fact that marriage is no license to happiness. It doesn't come with any guarantee. And so I choose to live my life the way I want. I want to bring you in, Dolly G. I mean, there, of course, have been, some challenges that you've very gracefully handled, and hence you said there is no challenge, but that's just the attitude that reflects on how you perceive them. I would want you to, just take us through maybe one of the most life-changing moments that you would like to share.
I haven't taken life as a challenge. I have enjoyed every step that I have taken. And I think I have been reasonably successful. I may not own a large bank account or own buildings like Antilla, but I am very happy in the space that I am. Before I launch into talking about myself, I'd like to say how lovely it is to see TJ. It's almost, 30 years, I think, since I last met TJ. Or when I first met TJ. And she was a very bright, young, energetic, and she was a DJ. Am I right, TJ?
She was, I think, a
We'll never forget this TJ we used to go. And then, of course, she got married, and she got married to somebody that we liked and we loved and we saw, and he even acted in a play with me or in a film with me. TJ, did you and I act in a play too? I think we did.
Yes, we did. We did.
You can see my relationships with people are going back so many years. I have memories, and I cherish those memories. I never forget that. And I haven't had the kind of tragedies that we just heard Nisha and Revati talk about. My tragedy was that I was left as a single mother to look after a child. But I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed it. And I don't think I would change it for anything. It's been a wonderful experience I wanted to be a complete woman. And
Ali, I just want to interject and say I didn't use the word tragedy at all. I said
I know, but I mean for us, listening.
So I want to just correct that I've never had a tragedy, but I've had challenges, many of them.
Yeah, Nisha, but I mean, one day wasn't even aware of the kind of experiences you'd had before I met you. All this being in Paris and being in fashion, all that I didn't know. Because I remember when you came to me, you were a very simple little girl, and I loved that Nisha who came. And she started, and that's the Nisha that I know where she started and where she's gone. And that's when we got to know about her life and everything later on. But, but to us, outsiders, it seemed like a tragedy because, to have somebody who was handicapped at home.
No, that's not true, Dolly. And I don't want to discuss the details of my private life here.
Yes, I know. This is the way I'm really looking at life and how I respond to people. And so...
I don't discuss my personal life on public forums ever.
Well, I do. Because I want to give women courage.
Please,
that is why I do that. And I have no inhibitions about that. And I think a lot of women have received courage and encouragement from the way I've led my life. I've never depended on anybody. Whatever people may say or think, that's another matter. But I know personally how I can hold my head up high. And I have. And I'm very proud of the way that I've led my life and in the achievements that I have achieved and in what I have done.
Wonderful.
I'm respected and revered in a lot of circles, not just NGOs, though I do a lot of NGO work, and that's where my heart really lies. But even all the other communications work and the media work, and I've established a name without having to push for it. And that's what I'm very proud of. Wonderful. And that's why I would tell women, do what you want, have the courage, take life in your hands. Certainly don't hurt other people and step on other people. I'm not saying that I haven't done that. I'm sure I have in my life and with the choices that I've made. But those choices were not mine. They were kind of, they came your way and you accepted them. But I am very proud to be who I am. And very proud that I am looked up to as a woman of substance.
Yes, indeed you are. And I think all of us in the room share that title because one thing that we all have said in one way or another is that I don't care. This is who I am. Take it or leave it. And this is what I'm set out for. I'm clear about my purpose. And you know what? I am headed there with or without you. And I think kudos to us to be able to build that courage. And it isn't easy. It might sound very easy, it might look easy. And so we have a question that I want to pick from our audience, where someone wants to know that, there are times in our life when we get stuck. We just don't know what to do next. It might look as if the right thing is to still go ahead and do what you want to, but it doesn't feel that easy. Is there a life hack that any of us here can share, which can make this a little easier for them? Yes, Sukirti?
I think definitely try, if you can, take a break. You've got to get away from the situation. And once you do, I think your thoughts get cleaner and clearer. Once you're so deeply delved into it, sometimes it gets very, very muddy. So whenever you can, if you're trying to make a big decision, definitely try to get away someplace where you're not thinking about it all the time, so that your mind is able to process better.
Absolutely. I think that's a good one. So it's like, just something.
Can I just say about it? Sukriti, I'd like you to be a little louder, please.
Oh, sorry. I said that it's good to take a little bit of a break, 3 to 4 days. If you can take a longer one, even more fantastic, so that you can actually clear up your thoughts and something that you're doing that you're more passionate about. So you're not obsessing about that the whole time, because then you cannot make a clear decision.
Yes. So sometimes to take a leap forward, you have to take a few steps back. And
can I add to that?
Yes, Disha.
Something a little prosaic and oft spoken of, but I'll still say it, even if it's a cliche. I found a lot of succor and a lot of strength in prayer. It gives you a buoyancy. It gives you a kind of, a worldview that you never expected. It's nearly like a magic wand. And when we talk about Harry Potter and we talk about magic, I'd like to say that for me, the big, big life hack, whether it's the Quran, whether it's the Bible, whether it's the Bhagavad Gita, whether it's the Guru Granth Sahib, there are so many magical secrets out there, and they really help. The philosophy really helps you go through life in a more graceful way, without I, me, and myself, and I'm so great. It makes you see things with a little more humility and kindness. And I think I started this discussion, Yukti, with saying that women sometimes pull women down, So the message today would an important message, more than substance and empowerment and I don't care, is compassion and kindness towards other women. They say women make the worst bosses for women. The point I want to make is that why don't we be more kind and compassionate to other women and not be so proud? It's, prayer gives you that humility. And I'm sorry if I'm citing something that, is oft spoken of and is
absolutely relevant to what you.
I think absolutely right. Both of you, Sukriti and Nisha, I think it's amazing, both of you, what you all have said. But sometimes, as an entrepreneur, I'm saying this, that there are many times when you just feel like giving up because nothing works.
Absolutely.
You've made a blueprint and next month you're nowhere near what you're supposed to do. So you really start thinking, am I doing the right thing? If as an entrepreneur, you can differentiate between passion and business, it may make your life a little better. Because I was told by one of my co-founders, please don't try to run the business. You are very passionate, it's brilliant. But let me look at the operations. Let me look at the numbers. Because of your passion, you will not look at it. I found it very, very offensive when she said it to me. Very offensive because it was my idea, it was my baby. But I think after falling, getting up, failing, not succeeding, you realize that, sometimes you have to take advice. You must take it.
If I may add, Revati, what you said about, us thinking that business is our baby in itself is a thought we could look at challenging. Because when we start getting emotionally attached is when we're not looking at it as business, because sometimes beyond a point, something might not make business sense anymore. And it's okay.
Ideas do not make successful businesses. It is the implementation of an idea which will make a good business.
Absolutely.
And if an entrepreneur understands that and agrees to understand that entrepreneur will become successful. I was very foolish. I said, no, my baby, I will do everything. A lot of things fail, but well, we learn.
And that doesn't make you a bad mother that you couldn't handle the baby, because business is not your baby. Business is business.
It doesn't make you a bad boss at all. You're like, but what to do? You made mistakes. Yeah, you're making mistakes. Now what to do?
It is not just, it's not the idea we agree. It is not just the execution. I would say it is
Yeah.
beyond execution. It is the persistence that also matters in
Yeah.
the case of a business.
Yeah. And also you make new mistakes.
Sometimes,
No, you should make new mistakes. Don't make the same mistake again. Keep
Exactly.
making new mistakes. You'll learn.
so every mistake is a learning and then move forward.
How many? Yeah, I'm still making them. I'm still making those mistakes. I don't know how many I'm going to keep making.
That's okay. That's how life is. You make 100 mistakes, 5 of them become successful, and that's how
Mistakes
is enough.
is not learning, isn't it? Until and unless you don't make mistakes, there's no way to learn. So I think that's just work
Yeah.
in progress, and it reflects work in progress. So thank you
Yes.
so much. With that beautiful baby on this screen, it's taking all my attention. And of course, we have some questions coming up on motherhood as well, which I want to pick up, because I think it's a very physically exhausting experience as much as it's very enriching. And if I were to speak for myself, I think for the first time, I saw a side of me that I didn't know existed before I became a mother. And I fell in love with myself when I saw the mother that I could be. I think that is just an irreplaceable experience. We can't talk about it. I can't articulate how I felt as a mother. But having said that, it is physically exhausting. It takes a toll on you. So here is a question for you, TJ, since you're back to it. If someone were to ask me how to manage twins now, I pretty much feel like it happened to me in the last lifetime, because I don't remember changing diapers anymore. Because when I was, that's all I remembered, because that's all I was doing. But since I've come this far and now they're almost 10, it's difficult to go back to it. And you had the courage, to go back to the diapers. And how is it? How are you dealing with the emotional and the physical exhaustion? And what helps you to stay patient?
You know what? I just compare to everything else I've done in my life. Like, I left Canada, I moved to India, I knew nobody, I had to find work, I had to pay rent, I had to make new friends, make new colleagues. And the funny thing is, why is it only motherhood that is always considered so hard? When we're starting a new job, you have to get to know new people. You might not have a great boss. That's hard. When you find a new apartment, you have to furnish it. You have to put it all together. That's also hard. How about when you're partying all night till 5 a.m, then you get up at 8 o'clock? And how come nobody says, wow, it's so hard partying on Friday, Saturday, then I have to get up and go to work? Was that, why is it only, we just say that motherhood has to be so hard? This has been so easy. My job right now is to get up every 3 hours with an infant and watch Netflix. And so that is not hard at all.
I think I'm getting motivated to go for it again.
I tell everybody, go for it. I find, it's like other women who make it worse for other women. Like, it's so hard. It is not hard. I have a lot of faith, spirit. I pray. God never gives us more than we can handle. And handling a child, it's just another skill set. That's all. It's just something like, when you go back to college, learn new skills, upgrade what you already know. This is just another learning more skills. That's all it is. And I think if you go into it saying, I got this, like, this child is not the boss of me. She integrates herself into my life, not me into hers, so you can make it work. It's actually not, I found that I was so overwhelmed with advice and stuff that it's going to be like this, it's going to be like this, that I was like frazzled, and it actually didn't turn out to be anything like that. I feel I've done harder things in my life than raise a child. And people always talk about patience. You have it. You have everything you need. It's like I said, it's a skill. You have patience in you. Just dig deep and find it. It's not as hard as people say.
I have also 2 twins. They're both 5 now. And I had them much later in life. But definitely I do agree that this patience is just not easy. I also I struggle to find patience with 2 twins and a lot of help. but you feel that responsibility, and maybe you feel that everything is on your shoulders. I think what worked for me was really, really trying to prioritize what is really important, and that I do not need to do everything.
Yeah.
I think when
I
they
focus much more on what I enjoy doing with them, and I'm okay outsourcing, because otherwise I was driving myself mad. Because
no, but
with two
you
twins,
don't.
you can imagine, you'll never sleep. So even at the very first, when they were born, we had nurses come in, because we said, I will never get. And at that time, I was CEO of a media company, and I was not ready to also say I want to leave my job. So there was no way I would have gone mad. I think so. It really comes down to prioritization of saying,
But you know
these are
what?
the things I like, and these are
You
the
don't
things.
need to be a perfect mom.
Yeah, and
You
these
don't
things
need
drive
to
me
be.
insane.
I
And I
have
was like that. I lost
I
patience.
have three boys. They've grown up 34, 31, 25.
Sukriti, this is amazing. This is actually so inspiring because I come from Kerala, and over here, many women they quit their job immediately after marriage, have children, and they wait until the child grows up. And you ask me when the child grows up,
Yeah,
not
when?
age
When
of
does the child grow up? They
grows up.
don't grow up. They
So
don't grow up.
I
They
feel
don't grow up.
amazing. Hats off to you for managing the twins.
Yeah, really, my God, very sweet.
The men
Since everybody is talking about
like
bringing
you
up
have two
children,
kids at
let
home.
me tell you, I brought up my son, and from the age of when he was in a carry cot, I would take him to Doordarshan. In those days, I used to be reading the news, or I'd be at a fashion show, or I'd be in a play, and Kwansar was always there with me. It was only at the age of 10 that I sent him to boarding school because he began to say, Mama, your meetings are so boring. Can't I be a latchkey baby? He wanted to be a latchkey baby, and of course, in India, we don't have that. But he's grown up independently. He's grown up to respect people, respect jobs, and I love the way that he's grown up, and I brought him up independently.
Wonderful.
So, as I said, I used to at Doordarshan, all the TV news staff would be looking after him while I would be sitting in front of the TV and reading the news, or he'd be sitting on the platform below the TV thing. But he's learned discipline. He's learned how not to make a noise, how not to interfere, how not to make demands, and so I think every situation.
Dolly, may I tell you something, Dolly?
Sorry.
I said, I just want to tell you something, Dolly. You've done, and I'm saying this because I know your son, Kosar, and he's a close friend of mine. You've done a terrific job as a mom, raising him on your own. He's so respectful, and he's kind to women, and he's such a good human being. And I spoke to him just day before yesterday, actually. And yeah, we're very much in touch, even though I'm over here. And he really, it comes back to how he was raised, and there's nothing lacking in his life that because he was raised by a single mom that he missed out on something. He's terrific. He's grown up with the love of both parents, but you've given the best of yourself to him, and he's just a terrific human being. And that's a reflection of
Lovely
you.
to hear from somebody else.
Yes.
It's not me saying it, but I'm very proud of him anyway. So.
Awesome. I think as mothers, we're all always trying to do the best that we can. I think the word like bad and mother cannot sit in the same sentence because there is nothing called a bad mother. We're just trying to be as good as we can. And when I have a 1-year-old child, I'm also just a 1-year-old mother. I'm not a 30-year-old mother who's given birth to a child. I'm just still 1-year-old, and I'm learning, and I can make mistakes, and I will get my act together. But just to put that gun there and create that scenario of perfection is what kills us, and that's where we probably run out of patience. So I so agree with what you said, Sukirti, about putting your hand up and asking for help. We don't have to do everything, and we don't have to be perfect with every single role that we choose to pick in life. And it's okay to be ambitious. It's okay to say, I don't want to give up on my job and my ambitions. I want this and that. And it's not this or that. It's this and that and this, and why not? When I've welcomed it, I have all it takes for me to make space for it, like how Tiju's making space for another beautiful life to, come into her life. And if she's done that, then there is space already that existed, and all we have to do is sit back and enjoy. But you know what? It kind of brings to my attention, if I may want to pick your brains on this. When I look at the amount of the number of women that we have who represent leadership, now irrespective of the space that we might talk about, whether it is the entrepreneurial space or the entertainment space or the corporate space, if we were to just look at population numbers, it's about 48% of world's population is women, right? In India, it's about 49% women. And yet, I, in my own personal experience, have been the only woman in the product team of a bank. Right? I've been the only woman who was in the exhibition space, which was my first venture before I launched SBY Academy. And I have faced a few challenges that weren't so entrepreneurial in nature, more than they were as a woman entrepreneur, not having a co-founder, as you know, a man as a co-founder. Right. And I mean, we can go into those stories some other day, but I would want to know from you all, what do you think it will take for us to reflect the percentage that we have in population to reflect in leadership space? What will it take for us to do and not
So,
wait?
Yukti, can I take that?
Yes, Nisha.
After you.
No, go ahead, Nikki.
Go ahead, Nisha.
You know, what I want to say is that there has to be a change in the perspective of people bringing up children to, you know, like when you have a fund for a boy's education, or like TJ said so aptly, that people think your life really begins when you've given birth to a boy. That needs to, the game changer is the mother that brings up the child to respect women, and also to give as much importance to a woman's education as a boy's. Now, I was in a panel discussion just for Women's Day, where this lady said India is beautiful and she celebrates her women. And now these are all, you know, beautiful sounding words. The truth is that in tier 2 cities and in tier 3 cities and in cities like Bombay, which is why Rani Mukherjee made that fabulous video about, you know, somebody telling her that, hey, you, koi baat nahi, agli baar try kar lena, ladka ho jayega. So that mindset has to change. Education has to be given importance for women as well as for the boy child. A mother has to bring up a boy to respect other women. And most importantly, companies have to understand that for India's GDP to get a bump up, companies have to make it more conducive to women to work. They cannot be partial to men, and you cannot have the mindset that, hey, women get pregnant, they have periods, so, you know, please, let's employ a guy. It's so much easier. That mindset has to change, because women are more, you know, more, their brains are hardwired to multitask. They are great game changers. They work brilliantly in corporates. And if India has to make a difference in its GDP and be a, you know, international leader, then we just have to be able to have more women in the workforce. And, you know, like TJ wants to bring up 3 power women. All women need to understand that bringing up the way you bring up the new gen is what's going to change the world, and India more so.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Nisha. I absolutely agree. Sukeeti, you wanted to add something?
There are 2 taxes. One is the motherhood tax that we have glamorized, that being a stay-at-home mother is the way to go. The second is the luxury tax. We feel that as a family, if we're doing well enough, we don't need to work. So first of all, we need to first shatter both these images, that you first need to say that, listen, if I want a career and you really want to be a career person, you need to start training for that. And the mindset needs to be put in that, yes, it will be difficult, but you can do it. So many have done it. So understanding that, yes, this motherhood tax or this penalty, and I'm not saying that you can't take the 2-3 years off, but start thinking, if you're going to do that, how are you going to keep yourself relevant so you can return? The second, the luxury tax. If we feel like, look, and what I hear more from women is, my family is doing well enough. They have told me there is no reason for me to work, or I will only make a pittance compared to what my husband makes, that they don't consider it valuable. And that mindset also needs to change, that we are not working only for the monetary benefit, but also for the growth that we will get.
Absolutely, absolutely. And given that our parents don't leave a stone unturned to give us the best of education, it's only fair that we utilize all of that and use it to contribute to the society, right, in one way or another. And contributing to society doesn't necessarily mean social service, it means service. And offering a product is also service. Being in the service industry, whether it's hospitality or coaching or any other service, is also serving the community. So it's just unfair to the parents and unfair to the ordeal of going through such a good education that you have if you don't put it to use. Very well said, Sukirti. Yes, Revati. You don't mute, Revati.
I'd like to give a different perspective on this. I deal with the lowest end of the pyramid. I deal with women from below poverty line because I'm skilling them in becoming drivers or riders. The scene there is a little different. I keep telling my girls that mentally, come out of the shackles, that you cannot become a primary breadwinner. They are somehow always told that that husband, who may be a big drunkard, who will earn 10,000 rupees, but even 1,000 will not come home because 9,000 will go in the toddy shop and he'll be found drunk somewhere lying down in the gutters. This woman will earn 12,000 rupees. She'll earn more money, but she will still be considered as somebody who is not worth it. That her going to job, her going to work is not primary. If that husband gets up and is in a good mood and allowing her to go, then she will be allowed to go. So there's a lot of mentoring that is required for this class of people, where we can actually mentor them and make sure that they are, coming out of those shackles to come and work and create and realize that they can be primary breadwinners.
Absolutely.
During the COVID pandemic, my girls who were working, we were many in number, who were doing the job of going and doing deliveries, were making north of 35,000 rupees a month. They made that kind of money. I mean, with that, they have come out of the below poverty line, which has been said by the government that is 120,000 rupees per family per family. These girls were making 35,000 rupees a month. So if we can engage them in a conversation and mentor them to say that you can do this, like Nisha mentioned, the GDP can go up, women participation can be a lot more, and engaging women at that level, you can get the inclusion and diversity percentages far higher than being able to have, just at the top level. How many women can you have at the top level? I mean, the percentages would be fairly, very, very huge, the difference. So I think it's a lot of engaging their mind.
Absolutely.
And changing their mindset.
The mindset. So right. And I think Dr.
I
Chandra.
want to say, I must tell you all this because it's very funny and you must hear this. So I have something called, we celebrate something called a mother-in-law's day.
Okay.
We have a mother-in-law day in the office where I have learned the tricks of the trade and I have told my girls, keep your mother-in-law happy. You're making 15,000, 20,000, 30,000 a month, buy her a sari every month. And we have a day in every month, one day, where we call the mothers-in-law to the office and we gift them. And it's not expensive, but we're just smart. So what we do is we buy them bulky gifts, So like 900 rupees a mixer. It looks so huge. So when she goes back to that basti with that gift, there's a huge people who follow her to say, "Arey, kisne diya? Kyun diya? Kya diya?" And she very proudly says that, "Meri bahu ke office ne diya." And trust me, next month we get so many girls to join us because it's just, we're having fun and we made sure that somebody is very excited about joining us because they're going to get a gift. And so we have to try these things with women. It works. And I think we've had a great time doing all this.
You have let out your trade secret outside there.
Really, I just want to know, where did you learn this generosity? All these ideas, they are wonderful.
My mother-in-law.
Wonderful. I mean, I work for a lot of NGOs that for destitute women and children.
Yeah, but
Hardly and all that. But this is a wonderful thought that you have.
My mother-in-law was an
angel.
My mother-in-law was an angel when, my husband passed away. I come from a very conservative Bengali family. When my husband passed away, and it was day 4 of my husband's death, and I I went back to her and I said, look, I have this idea of starting this women's service. I need to step out. And I said, if you don't, because we were in that 40-day mourning. And I said, if I don't step out now, I won't be able to do it again. You know, that lady, and Bengali style, I had changed to white clothes like a widow and done all that. We come from a very conservative family from Tripura. And she came to me and she said, okay, what do you want? I said, I need to step out. You have to allow me to go out. Day 4 of my husband's death. She held my hand and she said, go. And she said only one condition. I was willing to agree to anything that she said. And she said, the condition is I will never want to see you in white clothes again. You have to change back to your colored clothes, your bindi, your sindoor, your everything, because I do not want my grandchildren to get up every day in the morning, look at you and remember that they don't have a father. She has been my inspiration throughout. She's not there anymore, but every minute of my life, I feel whatever I am today, it is she who has made me what I am, really, more than my mother. I mean, she had lost a child. And that moment when she lost a child, she actually turned around to me and she said, live your life. I mean, I don't think there's a bigger, I don't think I can contribute anything of my entire life to anybody other than her. I mean, I so remain grateful to her that she was in my life.
What an endearing story.
What a brave story to hear. How
and your story is
because
really...
I have a story which is not as nice as yours. A friend of mine lost her husband and she was looking for a place to stay. And the only one who could afford a place where he had a large bungalow, etc., he turned around and said, I can't take you to my house because my wife cannot get up and see the face of a widow every morning. I mean, there are people with that kind of attitude. Yeah. And, so we have to change the mindset. And the women that are here today, Yukti, you've done a wonderful job. You've given us each an opportunity and an eye-opener to what is happening in the world and what women can do. And these are the women. My God, we are just 6 of us here. But
mind you, it is not that I've not had differences with her. Of course, I had differences with my mother-in-law. Lots of them. But that doesn't mean that she did what she did for me. I mean, who can do this, after having lost a son?
These are stories which we need to spread and share with many more people, and including the working classes. Okay, we are all semi-upper middle class kind of people and come from those kind of homes, educated, slightly liberated. But we've got to spread this message to our workers, to those, who come to work every morning beaten up by their husbands. They take their money and the husband it's given to the husband and he's dead drunk on that money. There are stories like this which we hear all the time. So there is such a lot that is our responsibility that we have to do. And thank you so much, all of you, for sharing your stories with us.
Beautiful and so inspiring, Revati. It just shows another side of this country. And it shows that, not everything is black and white. There is so much of gray in between, only if we allow ourselves to look at things differently and create another, perception and not lead our life with judgment. Even the day you get married, you have a certain perception of mother-in-law and you start operating from there, even before giving her a chance to tell you who she can be towards you and vice versa.
Imagine my stay in the jail. I mean, it's very long, so this is not the time. I mean, we don't have time, but my stay in jail and I saw those women. Oh my God, it was, what was I seeing? Was I even from that space that I had to go and see this? I was seeing murderers, I was seeing drug victims, I was seeing, anything, everything. That there was a moment over there when I said to myself, I'm not crying from this moment onwards. I see these women who have got bail for 5,000 rupees they had to pay. They didn't have money. That was the moment I decided I will go out. I will skill women. I will make them stand on their feet. And that's when Forshi was born, my first company. Wonderful. I wanted to skill them to stand on their own feet.
Wonderful.
So this came in the it's like Krishna. I mean, something good came out of it.
Yeah,
but
someone with it takes a bad experience to do something good and
A
meaningful.
horrible experience. Nobody should ever get there. Nobody should ever.
And I think Chandra has also found her passion there in the same direction, the way she's dedicated her life towards supporting women, Chandra. We always underestimate the lower strata, especially when it comes to women thinking they are powerless, they are helpless, we know better. But I have been proven wrong on this mindset so many times. If I had the courage to closely look at the strength that they have and what they do, most of us can't. So is there any story that comes to your mind which can tell us how this 50% that we hold in population will one day reflect in the leadership space as well? What is it that we can learn from each other?
I agree to the fact that the lower segment of the society, let's say the BPL, the below poverty line category, they are actually women. If you ask me, they are much more empowered than the upper or the middle class women whom we talk about. That's what I've observed. Because if a woman, coolie woman or somebody like that, if a maid, for example, somebody coming from the slum, if she doesn't like her husband in some way, she will say, okay, you leave, get out of my house, and then she will manage and survive. But what's happening to the middle class and upper middle class families, especially the women? There are cases of silent violence and domestic, different kinds of violences that women undergo, which unfortunately women don't even talk to each other. They keep everything, saying that this is family affair. Let's keep everything like that. Giving a glossy picture of everything. And in the process, what we have done to our nation, if you ask me, is that we have lost as you said, the 50% of the population from leadership roles. As per various studies, it has been found that it will take at least 99 years more to ensure the global gender gap, or rather, to close the global gender gap. It will be like that. But what can we do as a group of powerful women? At least in this forum, we have got some amazing powerful women sharing and giving that don't care attitude to other women. I would say one thing that we can do to each other is to support as well as mentor a group of women leaders, if possible. Every woman, especially coming who are educated, who are trying to build their career. If you ask me, even in corporate segment, even in the management, even in companies, you will find that women are there in the lower segment, in the middle segment, but they don't reach the top. And the reason I personally have understood is that most of them prioritize, or rather, they prioritize their family over taking leadership roles, and that doesn't mean that others do not prioritize. For everybody, the family and your career, everything is priority. But these women unfortunately fall or succumb to the general stereotypical expectations that the woman has to, is the primary responsibility of the, the family and the household. So that concept needs to be reworked on, and women also needs to get freed from, or rather, she should get the support system. And as Sukriti was telling, we need to outsource many things, and there's nothing wrong in it. If you're not good at cooking, or if you do not want to spend time in cooking, just outsource it. That's what I do. And I personally feel, again, it is a crime that a woman spends more than 5 or 6 hours in kitchen in our country, and that is the average. There was again a study where it was found that an Indian woman is the highest, spends the highest number of hours in a day in the kitchen, and it is not something which we can be proud of. So those are all areas which we should work upon and promote more women leaders across all spheres. It is not just limited to corporate. I would say everywhere, even down north. Whichever, all spheres, I would say, we have to ensure that there is one more lady who is coming up. So as women, what we can do, one last point is that whenever we are going on certain leadership roles, ensure that you take along at least one more person with you. Yes. That is an easy strategy that we can do. That is what I try to do. Wherever there is an opportunity, I take along at least 3 or 4 of them. I mentor. I'm currently mentoring at least 8 to 10 women who are leaders in their spheres, but not recognized much. So these are all things that we can do in order to ensure and promote women leaders.
Wonderful. I think that's one, small baby step that we can take in our own space. and that's important. It takes one step to cover a mile, right? So thank you for emphasizing on the fact that it doesn't have to be an earth-shattering strategy to create that, you know, environment of diversity. All it takes is one little step. Hold one hand and take that person forward. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I mean, a topic such as this can take us all night and we still won't feel complete to have said everything we want to. I would like to close our discussion with one closing comment from you all. So TJ, let's hear it from you. This International Women's Day, what is the message that you want to leave us women with?
I would say that, wow, there's like so many messages. Where do you even start? But, kind of tying back to what, what's being said about women who try to do it all, reach out, take that help you need. Women, you try to be so self-sacrificing. No, I can manage it. I can do it. You don't need to, ask for help. And I found that, even when women are at home, their dads want to help out. They're just kind of at a loss. They don't know what to do. So if you tell them, okay, I need you to just go get some groceries and come back, just, help me tidy up the house a little bit. They don't say no. They just don't know how they need to help. And women like to feel, I don't know, maybe we like to feel like Wonder Women, like, watch me, look, I can manage it all. You don't need to.
Yes.
You don't, and especially because this day and age, both people have to be working. So it's not on you to come home and to cook and to take care of kids and do everything. Outsource it, get the help you need, ask for it, and ask for what you need to be happy. Women they don't ask enough. I feel like they just accept. I think, no, well, what can I do? I have this. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Deserve your happiness and ask for it. Demand it for yourself.
Absolutely. I so agree with that, TJ. And I think that just makes life simpler. And it allows us to involve people who are ready to be involved. They just don't know how to.
Of
How can we
course.
be it for you? So that reaching out is needed. Thank you so much for emphasizing on that. So Kirti, babies are probably waiting for you to get back. So let's hear it from you, and then you're all theirs. You're on mute. Yeah.
Get rid of the guilt syndrome that's in your head. You don't need to feel guilty about anything. Whatever you're doing, just do it and feel confident that what you're doing is right. So once you get rid of the guilt, I think everything kind of takes place.
Absolutely. Drop the guilt, ask for help. Let's add more to this. This is going really well. Nisha, let's hear it from you.
I feel women entrepreneurs are the lifeblood of an economy. And women achievers are those trailblazers which can bring more women into the workforce. So very much like what Revati has done to bring more women and inspire more women is my message and has always been. Having said which, being a homemaker is also okay. One should do what makes you happy. You don't have to feel small about it. My mother's been a homemaker and given me a lot of strength and energy to be who I am. And lastly, I just want to, before closing, say thank you to Abhishek Mathur, Yenki, Mamta, Anjana, and I want to say that Revati Roy has a new fan in me. Thank you. You're a beautiful session, and for allowing me to meet such wonderful women. And TJ, it's lovely to see you. I follow you on social. Love your stories. Thank you. Thank you, everyone here. I've so enjoyed this talk. It's given meaning to my Women's Day and to my Women's Year.
Thank you so much, Nisha. Thank you for your presence here. It's added so much to our discussion. Thanks for humbly accepting it. I'm truly honored. Thank you.
It's a privilege and an honor, Yukti.
Thank you. So closing comments from you, Dolly Ji?
I would say the world is yours, ladies. We depend on you. We've tried our best. We've done what we could. But now the world is in your hands, and women, arise.
Beautiful. Let's arise.
And I will add on to her.
Chandra, please add on.
No, she said the world is yours, and I am telling, come on, women, you can change the world.
It's yours, right? You can change what's yours. So
Yeah,
go
you can change the world. You have the power to change the world. If you find there is something wrong in that world, then go ahead and change it. Don't wait for anybody else.
Beautiful. Go ahead and do what you need to. Revati, let's hear it from you. Your closing comments.
I just feel that women should dream while they're awake. You just never know, whatever you dream might just come true. I dreamt of, I visualized cabs, I visualized girls, I visualized beautiful girls in uniform driving cabs. It happened. So I think one can dream, manifest.
Yes.
I believe a lot in manifestation.
Because it is true and scientifically proven, right? It's not just a figment of our imagination.
Manifestation is a lot of positivity because you're actually thinking forward. I get my clothes for the next day. I've kept ready every day at night because I'm really looking forward to living my next day.
Yes, yes.
That's the way I say to myself, get up and live your life.
Yes. Rise and shine. A new day begins. And every new day is a new life, right? Giving us another chance to live a better life. Thank you so much. You made this day
so
a
much
much
for
better
having me.
day. And added so much to so many lives. A lot of comments here and a deep gratitude from my end for your presence from your busy schedule and adding to a very, very meaningful discussion this evening. Thank you and God bless you all. Wish you all a very, very beautiful life ahead and a happy International Women's Day. Thank you for being on SBY Academy. Means a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so
Thank
much.
you.
All of us together.
Can you all smile together and take a picture?
Yes. Okay. Wait, I'll let.
Take a picture.
I'll take. Everybody smile.
Not too difficult.
No, Revati, just smile to the camera. I'm taking. Okay, got it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening ahead. God bless you all.